Greeting of the day, guys. It's me, Sahil Jamadar. Sorry for inconvenience. Now we continue our reading, chapter 9, The Ancient Art of Self Leadership. Good people stinted themselves ceaselessly. Confucius. Time is passing quickly, said Julian before pouring himself another cup of tea. The morning will soon be upon us. Do you want me to continue, or have you had enough for one night? There was no way that I was going to let this man, who held such germs of wisdom within his grasp, stop without completing his story at the outset. His tale seemed fantastic, but as I listened to him, as I absorbed the ageless philosophy that had been bestowed upon him, I came to believe deeply in what he was saying. These were not the superficial, self-serving ruminations of some two-bit huckster. Julian was the real thing. He clearly walked his talk, and his message rang true. I trusted him. Please continue, Julian. I have all the time in the world. The kids are sleeping at their grandparents' house tonight, and Jenny won't be up for hours. Sensing my sincerity, he continued with the symbolic fable that Yoganamam had offered him to illustrate his wisdom of cultivating a richer, more radiant life. I have told you that the garden represents the fertile gardens of your time, of your mind, a garden that is filled with delightful treasures and boundless riches. I have also spoken of the lighthouse and how it represents the power of goals and the importance of discovering your calling in life. You will recall that as the fable continued, the door of the lighthouse slowly opens and out walks a 9-foot tall, 900 pounds Japanese sumo wrestler. Sounds like a bad Godzilla movie. I used to love those when I was a kid. Me too. But don't let me distract you, I replied. The sumo wrestler represents a very important element in the life-changing system of the sages of Sivana. Yogi Raman told me that many centuries ago in the ancient East, the great teachers developed and refined a philosophy called Kaizen. This Japanese word means constant and never-ending improvement, and it's the personal trademark of every man and woman who is living a soaring, fully awake existence. How did the concept of Kaizen enrich the lives of the sages? I asked. As I mentioned earlier, John, success on the outside begins with the success on the inside. If you really want to improve your outer world, whether this means your health, your relationships, or your finances, you must first improve your inner world. The most effective way to do this is through the practice of continuous self-improvement. Self-mastery is the DNA of life mastery. Julian, I hope you don't mind me saying it, but all this talk about one's inner world sounds more than a little esoteric to me. Remember, I'm just a middle-class lawyer from the leafy suburbs with a minivan sitting in the driveway and a lone boy in the garage. Look, everything you have told me so far makes sense. As a matter of fact, much of what you have shared with me appears to be common sense, although I know that common sense is anything but common in this day and age. I must tell you though, I am having a little difficulty with this notion of Kaizen and improving my inner world. What exactly are we talking about here? Julian was agile in his response. In our society, we all too often label the ignorant as weak. However, those who express their lack of knowledge and seek instructions, find the path to enlightenment before anyone else. Your questions are honest and show me that you are open to fresh ideas. Change is the most powerful force in our society today. Most people fear it, the wise embrace it. Zen tradition speaks of a beginner's mind, those who keep their minds open to new concepts. Those whose cups are always empty will always move to higher levels of achievements and fulfillments. Never be reluctant to ask even the most basic of questions. Questions are the most effective methods of expliciting knowledge. Thanks, but I still am unclear about Kaizen. When I speak of improving your inner world, I am simply speaking of self-improvement and personal expansions, and it is the best thing you can do for yourself. You might think that you are too busy to spend time working on yourself. This would be a very big mistake. You see, when you have taken the time to build a strong character full of discipline, energy, power, and optimism, you can have anything and do anything you want in your outer world. When you have cultivated a deep sense of faith in your abilities and an indomitable spirit, nothing can stop you from succeeding in all your pursuits and living with great rewards. Taking the time to master your mind, to care for the body, and to nourish your soul will put you in a position to develop more richness and vitality in your life. It is an epictetus, and so many years ago, no man is free who is not a master of himself. So Kaizen is actually a very practical concept. Think about it, John. How could a person possibly lead a corporation if he cannot even lead himself? How could you nurture a family if you haven't learned to nurture and care for yourself? How could you possibly do good if you don't even feel good? Do you know my point? Do you see my point? I nodded in full agreement. This was the first time I had given any serious thought to the importance of improving myself. I had always thought that all those people I would see on the subway reading books with titles like The Power of Positive Thinking or Mega Living were troubled souls desperate for some form of medicine to get them back on course. Now I realize that those who took the time to straighten themselves were the strongest, and that it was only through improving oneself that one could ever hope to improve the lots of others. Then I started to reflect on all the things I could improve. I really could use the added energy and give good health that exercising would surely bring. Ridding myself of my nasty temper and my habit of interrupting others might do wonder for my relationship with my wife and kids, and erasing my worry habits would give me a peace of mind and deep happiness I had been searching for. The more I thought about it, the more potential improvements I saw. As I started to see all the positive things that would flood into my life through the cultivation of good habits, I grew excited, but I realized that Julian was talking about her far more than the importance of daily exercise, a healthful diet, and a balanced lifestyle. What he had learned in the Himalayas was deeper and more meaningful than this. He spoke of the importance of building strength of character, developing mental toughness, and living with courage. He told me that these three attributes would lead one not only to a virtuous life but to a life filled with achievements, satisfaction, and inner peace. Courage was a quality everyone could cultivate, and one that would pay huge dividend over the long run. What does courage have to do with self-leadership and personal development? I wondered aloud. Courage allows you to run your own race. Courage allows you to do whatever you want to do because you know that is right. Courage gives you the self-control to persist where others have failed. Ultimately, the degree of courage you live with determines the amount of fulfillment you receive. It allows you to truly realize all the exquisite wonders of that epic that is your life, and those who master themselves have an abundance of courage. Okay, I am starting to understand the power of working on myself. Where do I start? Julian returned to his conversation with Yogi Ramam High atop the mountains on what he remembered as a remarkably starry and gloriously beautiful night. Initially, I too had trouble with the notion of self-improvement. After all, I was a tough, Harvard-trained legal gunslinger who had no time for New Age theories forced on me by what I thought were people with bad haircuts who hung out at airports. I was wrong. It was this closed mindedness that was holding my life back all of those years. That's enough for today. We continue our reading. Okay, bye. Have a good day.